Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I'm your host and sometimes referee, Zach Pearson, and today I'm joined by Pika Datmitsu.
Okay, we're going to hold on just 1 second here. We're going to pray that I hope that I get this drop. It's a 2 out of 3 chance, but I have horrible luck. So we're just going to wait for this combo to finish. Wait for it.
We're going to pray for your city.
Wait for it. Hey, I got it. Hurrah!
No one says hurrah. You lost 2 black points. We also have the one...
Implying I had any.
Yes, I am. The one, the only, the League of Legends addict himself, Romulus.
Pretty boy swag, my niggas. What's good?
What the fuck? Oh, man. And here comes a new challenger. We also have the international national man of skinny mystery, Gino the Dippolito. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you got it.
Cool. Okay, well, since it's your first time, you don't get to say some weird random shit after your introduction. But every time after that, you go right ahead, sir. All right. Now with that out of the way, we're going to go directly into our topics. And if we got enough time, or if there's some bonus time, we're going to talk about just shit that we're playing. Because apparently people like that from the, 8 people that actually watch / listen to this thing. Anyways. All right. Topic 1. Controllers and the future of fighting games. That is not the first topic, but it's going to be for today. All right. As you may or may not know, the newest characters in Street Fighter V DLC collection, yes, it's a thing, will be utilizing a more informative and easy command format. Not to be confused with automatic combos / automatic fighting. Do you think this is because of the inherent difference in natural playstyles between an arcade stick and a traditional video game controller? Or is Capcom is this Capcom's blind attempt at trying to figure out why they can't get Street Fighter V to sell the way they want it to? Why or why not? And we're going to start with an oldie but a goodie. Go ahead, Pika.
Yeah, I think people are analyzing this way too much. They see someone with a simplified moveset, and it's like, oh, hey, look, they're making it for dumb people. LOL. No. It's a completely different control style. It just so happens to be coincidental that pretty much anyone on any kind of controller, minus a DDR pad, but even I question that, could even use it and be good at it without flubbing controls. So, I think it's a neat little addition. We haven't really seen anything like this in a Street Fighter game in quite some time, if not ever.
There was one title, but it wasn't a Street Fighter game, and not to cut you off, but to increase your accuracy, it was Capcom vs. SNK 2 Extreme Offense, also known as the GameCube edition.
So it wasn't technically in the official Street Fighter line of games.
Yeah. Okay, so based on your opinion, you say it's a good thing?
I say it's a good thing. People need to stop over-analyzing the fact that it could just be for noobs and Capcom's just trying to make a grab out to try to get some of the more casual crowd in. I say let this guy come out, let people play it, and then give a review on it. But don't give a review just because of his control style. Give him a review based on how the character actually is. Don't just take one part and just blast the crap out of him before he even comes out. Let him come out, let him do his thing, and then we can judge. And not because of his control style.
I'm coming now. I want the world to... Okay, anyways. Alright, well, I appreciate your answer as always. How you feeling about this shit, Romulus?
I feel like it's a great way for people to actually come into the fight, and then instead of hearing the usual bitching, oh, you fucking cheated because you have the game or some bullshit. Because I have this experience many times when I do play my friends in the multiple fighting games I have in my room because they want to bitch about how good I am over them. It's not that I'm good, it's the playtime and I know combos. But if they're dumbing down the thing, anybody who can come into my room can actually get good at this. This also opens up more grounds. Or if this does blow up, we can maybe get a better fighting game community. Instead of it slowly dying off to the adventure crowd, we can actually get people back into playing fighting games again.
Okay. Well, as per usual, that's one of those things that no one really knows if it can or can't be verified. You have to go on a feeling, and I don't like going on a feeling, but you're not wrong. Depending on what happens or depending on certain eras in video games, you'll notice that certain genres completely disappear or they will rarely have an entry. And fighting games has had at least 2 or 3 of these droughts. Let's be honest. Okay, so you feel like it's a good thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, what about you, new guy?
Well, first off, I gotta say that I haven't actually played Street Fighter V, so
Don't worry, not many people have.
Obviously, though, in my opinion's not as valid as others, but from what I've heard, I heard that doing combos on Street Fighter V has been way easier than in previous Street Fighter games. Is that correct? I don't know.
Naturally, yes, but that was also partially due to how they changed up the input data and the input delay. But like literally, they made a new character who has a completely different format to the play style. But his format is extremely ergonomic and very easy for a controller person to utilize. You know, someone who has the regular controller versus, you know, $180, $150 to $200 and something dollar arcade stick.
Well, if you think about it, ever since Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Capcom has been sort of changing their control styles to be a little more like casual friendly.
Which isn't a bad thing.
No, I don't consider it a bad thing necessarily either, but I'm saying like I wouldn't be surprised if this was sort of an attempt to reach a more casual crowd. And honestly, I mean, you know, sometimes, especially with like fighting games, you get that sort of elitist mentality where it's like, oh, you know, fighting games should be for fighting game fans and that's it. But I mean, if it's gonna thrive and sell, well, you have to sell and you have to appeal to that sort of market. So I mean, if that's what they're doing and they're making things a little easier and they're for control general casual play, I don't see why that would be.
Did he cut out? Hey, Gino, you still there?
Cut out? Did I cut out?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the sentence, yeah.
Or did I cut out? My bad.
Well, for the record, we got your point. But you only cut out one time. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. It happens at random. We have no control over it, and we don't hold grudges over it. Okay. So I guess that just leaves ye old me. Well, to be honest, I think this is. I don't think that they were trying to do this over time, but I do feel like they're now trying to do this for the sole fact that they've noticed or they've been hearing about the major changes with how controller and controller accessories have been coming these days. Now, I don't know if y'all picked up on it or even noticed it in local stores and whatnot, but when it comes to Sony and Nintendo, they try to go out of their way to add something or do something that's technical to where third-party accessory makers have to, you know, change up what they've been doing or change up how comfortable they are sitting on their ass rehashing the same thing. But in the case of Sony in particular, they went balls to the wall strict when it came to the PS4. They did not allow third-party PlayStation 4 controllers. Like, they hunted you down and sent cease and desist. Which is why, if you stop and think about it, no matter how many times y'all went into GameStop or on Amazon, you pretty much never saw a non-third-party PlayStation 4 controller. And the only reason you're seeing stuff now is because Sony literally commissioned 2 companies to do it. But even then, those hardcore controllers or elite controllers really don't go and aren't utilized properly in the world of fighting games. Not to mention, y'all know just as well as I do, the button layouts and button commands for damn near every fighting game, period, has been geared towards arcade stick from inception. So the home market has had to deal with these ergonomic and slash possibly arthritic issues for the longest period of time. I don't care how good or bad you are or how good or bad you feel. You know, if you play in an arcade, not even on an arcade stick, you know the difference in playing with an arcade stick and playing versus a controller. Now, skill level is a bit of a change too. So whatever you may be good at or proficient with or character you may be able to utilize, you may not even be able to do correctly with the pad or vice versa. I feel like this is them finally owning up and recognizing because, well, Sony kind of dropped the ball with not allowing third-party controllers other than arcade sticks. And even then, now it's just a fluke because they're really working on PC shit. But that's a whole nother technical story. I think they're starting to realize shit. It's not that people think it's technical, which is what a lot of people thought back in the day, so much as it is that these games are not really designed for these types of controllers in the first place. Someone should do something about that. And someone finally did. Because, the 2D fighters, they were still meant for arcade sticks. But the 3D fighters, almost all of them, they feel more universal because of their natural control and gameplay difference. Playing Soul Calibur, no matter what number, on a controller, will always feel almost, if not just as good on an arcade stick. But that doesn't lay over when you got something like Blaze Blue, Melty Blood. Yeah, I went old school. Fucking Arcana Hearts. Don't judge. Actually, you know what? That's a very white thing for me to say. Go ahead and judge. I don't give a shit. It was still fun. And, Street Fighter. Those games are meant for just an arcade stick. They're not really meant for a traditional controller. So I feel like it's a step in the right direction. I feel like it's good for everybody. And half the people that piss and moan, only one character get it right now. And we have no word whether or not it's going to be featured or this alternate playstyle might get utilized for other characters. I feel like it will, though, just because, well, Street Fighter has traditionally been one of the only fighting games still on this market in 2D or on 2.5D, which isn't really a fucking thing, where the characters or the combat system doesn't have an alternative easy mode with unoptimized combat shit. So they found that happy middle ground, and I hope they continue this in the future. We already know there's going to be an auto mode in MVC4, but none of it is optimized. So that may lead people to want to do manuals later on. All right, moving on to what was supposed to be our first topic. First topic is piracy and cracking down. Has the industry gone too far or not far enough? Do pirates and emulation makers do more harm than good? And how do you feel about bootlegs or titles that have not been re-released? Now, I'm just going to talk about what brought about me bringing up this topic again because, well, I'm not stupid. I know what we do. We've done this before, but there's been big changes, even going just back as far as last year. All right, so whether y'all realize it or not, almost every system that is currently on the market has been hacked or emulated within its first 24 months. Now, the exception to this has been the X-Bone, which is the last horse to cross the finish, unless y'all know something I don't and they already got into it. But we've learned over time that even with PC games or games that are released on multiple consoles and PC, the PC hackers and emulator community will go on an average, and this is an old average, so I'm not going to tell you it's accurate right now, on average, download the game almost 3 to 4 more times than what was purchased. So if you sold 2 million of your game, you're missing 6 million. Now, as a developer, or, well, just anybody who's selling an entertainment product, that would bother the fuck out of me. You like my product, you give me high praise and high reviews, but you don't like it enough to pay for it? So what recently happened is, besides DDoS attacks being considered a crime and companies going after DDoSers, which I'm not mad at them for. Fuck DDoS attacks.
Zach. It's DDoS. DDoS.
Okay, fine. DDoS. Would you like to tell the people what DDoS stands for?
Distributed Denial of Service Attacks. Imagine your butthole, if you will.
Oh, here we go. Hold it. You're going to love this one, Gino.
Okay. Normally, you don't want things going into your butthole unless it's from a doctor or someone who knows what they're doing. Now, imagine if someone really, really hated you and then just decided to shove a water hose up your ass and turn it on full blast, nonstop. This is what a DDoS attack is. It sends a lot of data, mainly pings of trying to access a certain site or a certain something in particular, and just sends, possibly at times millions upon millions of pinging attempts in a row, nonstop, to the point where their servers can't handle it anymore, and they just shut down or slow down. One of the two.
Well, I honestly thought you would wait at least 2 or 3 more podcasts before you deflowered Gino, but goddamn.
No.
Yeah, until next time.
We'll see.
Wow. That's a very, very interesting analogy, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Probably your finest work.
The more you know.
Oy. I'm scared to look at what possible hashtags come out of this episode. Anyways, all right. So, yeah, that's one of the things that hackers have been doing. Also, not to mention, a lot of them even have used the internet for free distribution as well now, too. For instance, the Wii U got hacked, which, well, we all saw it coming. At this point, system consoles getting hacked is an inevitability. But when it got hacked, people started releasing the games, the entire game files with the emulator in tow. Now, if you're not sure what it is, I'll give you the very brief version. It's not hard to get. An emulator basically, or a video game emulator basically makes your computer act like a video game system temporarily. So you could play a game or even have the controller input data detected from a USB slot. But now people are so, I guess you would call them technically nice when it comes to hacking the Wii U, that they will go and put the games up online for torrents or on a file share site along with the emulator, so they give you the complete package right there, completely destroying the chance of something being sold. Now, more recently, a lot of companies have been going out of their way to hire ex-hackers or to hire specific hackers who aren't fucking with their shit just to help with do safeguards and shit. And charges are being brought up, as well as people who start hacking the PlayStation Store. In fact, now this is a long time ago, but they were really good at trying to hide it, or at least not making it get to mainstream knowledge, because a lot of people would have claimed overkill. There was a guy who basically hacked the money in the PlayStation Network. He made up money. He didn't steal it from anybody, and damn near got everything on the PlayStation Store in the year 2009, around September or October, right? He got, I believe, 5-6 years in jail. Yeah. So my question to you guys is do you think that these companies are going too far with how they're managing their security and how they're trying to lock up their stuff? Or do you think they haven't gone far enough? Note, I just want to point out, this is not involving the PC world. This is specifically for the big three: Sony, Micro, Nintendo. And we're going to start with Gino.
Honestly, I think the only company that's really gone too far is Nintendo. They seem to be the only ones that really like go hardcore. Like if you go on their website, like they have a whole page about like piracy and how emulation is bad, and their whole treatment of what was the name of the Pokemon fan game that came out? I forget the name of it.
I think it was
that
Pokemon Rainbow or something.
It was that and another Metroid 2 remake. Like their treatment of those two games was just, those two games were not out to make a profit, and if you actually played them, there was nothing in them that could really like look bad on Nintendo. The only thing was that they used the characters, and I mean, it is in their right to take those down, but it's just a shitty thing to do. Like if you look at Sega now too, Sega's been totally fine with the fan community and like fan-made games and things like that. If you look at Sonic Mania now too, and just
yeah, just to speak on that, what you're trying to say is that they've embraced fan games because Sonic Mania is actually made by people that have been making 2D Sonic games independently for over a decade. A fun fact, back in the day, the Genesis was one of the first systems to be completely and totally hacked, which doesn't just mean, okay, they can make your computer play the video game. I mean, they actually could go into the operating system and the actual programming of the individual games. So Sonic had a built-in fan community that have been making independent fan games going back as early as 1998. So Sonic been around the independent fan game world for a while. And they put those people on Sonic Mania.
And if you look on YouTube too, like, apparently trying to get Nintendo content out there is just ridiculous. Like, with their copyright policies, is just absolutely horrible, and constantly demonetizing videos and things like that. Nintendo is just, they really still haven't even embraced the fact that people like to share shit online and everything. And it's just, I don't know, they're the only company that really, as piracy goes and emulation, I mean, to be honest, I don't see what you could really do about it. I mean, if people want free shit, they're gonna try their best to get free shit. I mean, the way Nintendo does, it honestly looks worse on them than anything if they just ignored it. But then again, I know that's not a very good solution. I'm sure there's probably something better out there, but I can't personally think of a good solution for emulation or piracy.
If it makes you feel any better, there's a people who still haven't figured it out, and they've been working on this issue for 30 and 40 years. So, well, more like 30. So don't feel bad. It's one of those things no one truly understands how to combat correctly. Because let's say you have a complete and total lockdown. Well, if they get the shit from another country, or another country doesn't have that same lockdown, then all your lockdowns pretty much mean nothing.
All I really know is the way Nintendo does shit is wrong.
Well, it's a fair opinion, and that's how we do the things we do. We get people not because we all have the same opinion. We get people because they might have a difference of opinion, or they might have some facts that someone else didn't know. I'm just happy as long as nobody turns into a fucking SJW. That being said, all right, Romulus, how you feel?
Nintendo is always the one that seems to crack down the hardest on any emulator ever.
I don't think anyone's going to argue that.
From the times when Visual Game Boy was popular, growing up for me, because I noticed that
VBA,
when I was in
that takes me back.
middle school, people had Kirby Superstar, Ultra, and other emulator games, and it took me eventually like 7th or like early 8th grade to figure out how to do it. And then I tried to do it recently. I go back to the same site, and they all have the same list of Nintendo has sent us copyright cease and desist orders about these games.
I can help you out with that, but not over the podcast. We'll talk later.
Mm-hmm. Also, Pokemon Prism was the game.
Yeah, Pokemon Prism, yeah.
Was the game that was supposed to come out, the fan-made game that just... No. And for me, that seems like Nintendo's really trying to hurt the chances of people trying to get into their series because, you know, even though it's a fan-made game, there's still the core value of Pokemon. If you like this, you will actually enjoy the actual game it came from. Not only that, they're also trying to help Nintendo, really, because if they make, like, their older games remastered and stuff, they'll actually want to be more Nintendo-based. Because most of the people I talk to only have a PS4 or, like, a Xbone. Nobody really cares about the Nintendo. It's not even for the fact that they produce a shitty console, excuse me. The GameCube was good, the Wii was amazing. They did great on consoles up until the fucking Wii U, but they're just hurting themselves right now.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think there's a way to fix the problem that they deal with of piracy? Not so much fan games, but of piracy, or do you see it for the industry? Because remember, this isn't just about Nintendo, although they're going to be popular in this topic, to actually combat, or rather fix this issue.
To fix the piracy issue over the...
Say again, you cut out.
Oh, excuse me. They need to separate what they fully view as piracy and what they fully view as a fan trying to show their love for their company. Piracy would be taking... Ooh, excuse me, I had a burp there. Piracy would be taking like all their new games and trying to reproduce it on its own DS cartridge and shit, and actually trying to sell it out for their own gain. And they shut down that stuff. They go to people they don't recognize as a reputable distributor and shut that down. Well, hold off on the fan game to say, okay, they're just taking different parts here and there, and they're making something out of it. I would honestly enjoy that. I'd probably play some of my own if I was Nintendo, but I'm not them, because they view the fan games and what I was telling you about, trying to resell their games, but the wrong way, all in the same bowl. So I think they really need to first change their ethics on that of piracy and fan made, and then get a team of, as you said before, some ex-hackers or people who have just boosted knowledge of the internet and how computers work, and fill in the cracks that people could easily get through.
Okay. Well, I guess that just leaves me. Well, I feel like, well, I'm not going to say Nintendo again because that was everybody's go-to, and I am not a follower unless I'm in the military. I'm just going to say that I feel like nobody knows what to do except give out restrictions. And I feel like that's extremely dangerous because much like Atlas learned with Persona 5, you see where this is going. When you tell people not to do something and make a command out of it, even though everyone wasn't doing it, but when you say it to everyone, you instantly invite more people to do it than probably wasn't going to do it. Now, here's what I mean by Atlas. Atlas, the makers of Persona 5, threatened people and told them not to broadcast, live stream, or show any footage from the game, and also shut down the ability to show things off from your PS4 via live stream button, share button. And you already know what happened. The minute they said that, everyone went to their Twitter and their social media, as well as on YouTube and Twitch, and did just that. They played the game. They showed people shit, and they made guides and all this other crap that everybody and their mama doesn't even give a fuck about in the video game industry. Here's the one thing I don't understand, and this is really true with a lot of Japanese companies. If you don't want people to spoil your game, here's an idea. Shut the fuck up. If I play a video game, I don't want to get spoiled. Why the fuck would I go online and look up a playthrough? That playthrough isn't gonna fucking follow me around in a fucking messed up ass, old ass, fucked up sweater, try to get me to drink something with some pills in it, and then molest my eyeballs and make me watch it and get spoiled.
Oh, hey there, Cosby.
Glad somebody caught it. That's not gonna happen. But there are people in Japan who've been making games since forever who think that that's a genuine thing. And I'm gonna point out a good example. And I went back on Nintendo. Damn it. The guy who made, or rather, the guy who was responsible for a lot of the Smash Brothers programming and coding. I don't remember his first name, but his last name is Sakurai. He said the reason he took out the story mode from Smash Brothers 4 was because he didn't like that people spoiled it on YouTube when 3 came out. It was a mode called Subspace Emissary. I'm like, dude, everyone who wanted to see that shit and not get spoiled didn't watch it. Like, they genuinely don't get that. We've even seen statistical data that proves that live streams and playthroughs increase the chances of a game being purchased. Also, it's almost a bad thing for, if you think about it, for live streamers when it's a new game. Because here's the thing, when it's a new game and people want to get into it, they will stop watching the live stream and play the game themselves so they don't get spoiled. So, really, people are taking a risk to try to make your shit look better when it's new. And it's going to keep backfiring and backfiring. And they're going to invite more and more trolls, or the worst type of trolls, hacker trolls, who wouldn't have touched you, given a shit about you, until you told them not to do something. So, that's how I feel about it. I feel like they're making demands on the wrong people, and they're inviting more enemies than they are friends. Just imagine if somebody besides Nintendo, and this is a true thing they did, put up a bounty on security holes, which is an actual thing. Companies hire hackers or anybody who can hack. If they find a security hole in their system, they give them like 10 grand, 30 and 40 grand to show them how you snuck in. That's actually one of the oldest ways in the world that IT security updates and increases itself by using hackers, literally, to find vulnerabilities. I'm not even joking. You can Google this shit. Now, as far as fixing it, let me just be blunt. I feel like the only way to fix this is to do the one thing that nobody wants to do, or either to do something as a group, as in the big three as a group, decide to do that could completely shake up how the industry works, which is make video game consoles a subscription service. The only true way I can see, and I sat down and thought about this for a hot 6-7 hours, is if Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft said every system that comes out as of after 2017 has to have being professionally installed by like a cable person or an ISP person. It runs on its own internet, and it can only go to the web browser and the PlayStation store or the Sony and Nintendo store, Microsoft store to download shit. So that way, if them shits get tampered with in any way, shape, or form, they can immediately bar that IP address or bar that physical address from being able to play any of their shit. I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but it actually kind of sort of works with Overwatch. And this was hackers just doing it just to see how strong it was. There were hackers that were testing out how good security was. He couldn't get back into the game for 3 months. And the only reason he was able to get back in was because he bought a brand new copy and he put it on a brand new computer and he changed his internet service provider. Now imagine if there was a secondary or a recreational, if you will, internet service provider, and it was just the big three. That would be the only way I can see them blocking it, because they could take your personal information and they can make it follow you for the rest of their life. And they don't have to make the ban permanent or temporary or tell you even when it ends. They could literally ban you from all future products. That would scare the fuck out of me and pretty much make me never emulate again. If it meant I never could play the shit again. Or what if they charge you a fee? I feel like that's the only way they can pull off. But think about that. That is some totalitarian dictator type shit, though. Would you guys buy video games if they did that?
I mean, it's fine to me because I don't do any of that shit, so I'm like, whatever.
You know what I mean, man. When you're done with your burnout drop, whatever, like, wouldn't that fuck you up? Or would you just buy old shit?
Depends on how much it would cost, to be honest.
I feel you.
I mean, if video game companies want to cover their ass this way, if they feel like this is the only way to bring up their sales again and make sure that their products don't get leaked out or whatever, then by all means, give it a whirl. They're going to feel backlash because they're going to see people that are pissed off about it quite a bit. And they're going to see a decrease in sales one way or another. But I say, if they want to do it, let them do it. Then let them taste the unholiest shitstorm that they will ever taste in their lives. Then they'll think twice about it.
And we all know nobody likes the taste of shit.
Nobody, except people who like scat, but that's a completely different story.
Yeah, you going every place you can, or you just going behind closed doors today. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Nintendo Switch games, or lack thereof, is still a bit of a... Fuck, how did I even phrase this? Nintendo Switch games, or lack thereof, the system is still... has not quenched the system's ability to sell out. However, there are some titles... However, I'm curious, what are some titles you think people should look into possibly purchasing after they get done playing Breath of the Wild? Because let's be honest, that's what everybody's playing right now. Also, you don't have to own a Switch to answer this fucking question. You can go hop on fucking Google or Amazon right now, or just think of something far-flung in the future and tell me what fucking Switch games or what games you would like to see on the Switch that you think people should pick up on because, well, there's a bit of a drought right now in every sense of the word. I'm going to go first so y'all got time to bullshit this answer because I'm pretty sure some of y'all going to bullshit this answer. For me, I feel like an upcoming game is Disgaea 5. Now, I know it already got released on the PlayStation 4, and I'm not just saying this because I've already played it on the Switch. Brief reminder for those of you who don't remember, I was on the technical demonstration team for Chicago when the Nintendo Switch came to town about 2-3 weeks before it came out for the rest of the world. And the game I actually had to teach people how to play was Disgaea 5. So I know firsthand how fun, or rather how much more efficient, that game is going to be on the Switch. But also because it has what I like to call, it has play value or playtime value that's directly connected to your attention span, which is very, very rare. Most of the time, something has a 20-hour, 30-hour, 40-hour limit. Disgaea shitted on that very, very hard. All right, so Disgaea actually has an infinite power cap. And I do mean infinite, or at least up to 8 to 9 digits. See, you can get so strong in Disgaea that your attack power can't fit in the frame that's supposed to display your power level. You can hit somebody so hard that the numbers don't even fit in the screen, so the game just puts an M or a T or a K or any letter in the alphabet next to them to let you know how much damage you did. And you can still turn around and get one-shotted by a randomly generated super enemy. It's an it's a strategy RPG, but it's self-aware, much like Deadpool, and it's also got a decent chunk of comedy in it. Now, furthermore, you can completely ignore story mode if you want to, or if you play the game in certain ways, you can actually pay to make certain things in the game broken, but it's expensive, so you won't be able to do all of them all at once, and you can even then still have a challenge. Basically, just imagine a strategy game with team attacks, but instead of, having it be able to end or a possible ending or in-game armor equipment and shit like that, everything pretty much has infinite ability. You can even literally kill yourself just to revive yourself. Make yourself start over with level 1 and have the same stat you were before you died. So if you go hit somebody who was level 200 and you were level 300, you're about to level up like 60 times. But really, now you're, instead of looking like level 60, you're level 260 or 360. Yeah. All right, fellow Switch person. Romulus, what you think people should look into now that the Breath of the Wild craze is somewhat dying down?
All right, so when I go through here, I see a lot of old fighting games that are kind of either a spin-off of Street Fighter or King of Fighters, but Lo and behold, I actually found one I really love because I love rail shooters growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It's called, well, it's from 8CA Neo Alpha Mission 2.
What?
It is. You may not like it. I love this type of rail
No,
shooter.
I mean I didn't understand what the fuck the name of it was.
The game is called Alpha Mission 2. I don't know what that previous title called, but it's also based off of the other many old games on here, like ACA Neo Geo. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
From the Neo Geo series, Alpha Mission 2. Basically, you are trying to save space for wherever the hell you're fighting, because I haven't played the first game. And pre-mission, you can select what armor that gives you a special ability you get, and then of course your classic rail shooters of many bullets coming at you. No, not rail shooter, bullet hell. Excuse me, I'm getting my terms mixed up. Bullet hell. You can choose your armor: shield, laser, nuke, Phoenix. Don't know what all these abilities do, and then you go through, you get shot at a bunch of times. You can pick up the many different letters that give you different power-ups. There's movement. Your movement speed can increase. Your damage speed can increase. Your rate of fire can increase. Better homing missiles. And then when you use the armor from the beginning before you start mission, you can pick up letters of the different armor. Home is another one I forgot. The best one is...
I'm not the only person that heard that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was me internally screaming.
Your internal scream sounds like a shot clone trooper.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your cell phone notifications on, Mr. Pika?
No, my cell phone is buried right now.
That was weird. Continue.
Anyway, most of the boss fights, depending, like the first, it just scales up more and more and just gets crazier, and you just gotta adapt to each new situation, because each learning curve is different from each level. Because the first level, it was just like, oh, I gotta dodge the bullets on the screen. Now I also have to be mindful that the enemy can only be shot by my missiles, not by my actual laser fire. Next, I have to shoot certain stuff off the flying fortress in order to get inside the base.
Sound like a bullet hell. Okay, so you think people should look into the easy to learn, hard to beat / master virtual console old school titles. All right.
Yes.
Now that leaves you two. Well, since like I said, I know you two don't have a Switch, you can also just tell me games you would love to see or think should be on the Switch because they could perform better. And we're going to go with you, Pika.
One game when it comes out.
Oh, he said when. He said when.
When it comes out. Mm-hmm. Which is going to be soon. Within the next month or so, I believe. ARMS.
My nigga.
ARMS looks fun as fuck.
It is. I played it. You mad, bro?
It looks so fun. Let's just hope the net code doesn't blow original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 levels of ass.
Oh God. Card sex. Now, before you guys jump the gun, I just would like to explain that statement. Okay, so me and Coleman are OG Generation Zero damn near crossover game fans. Not even just the fighting games, but in general. But the crossover fighting games are usually the first ones to come out, and they're the most, well, let's not bullshit, popular. Now, when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, lots of promises were made. No, actually not really. But there was one specific promise that was made. When you go online, they would have an online mode, and there would be lobbies with spectator modes. That's not what the fuck happened. What happened is there was a lobby, but you got identification cards for everyone who was in that lobby. And when two people would fight, you saw the cards. You will see energy bars of the characters that they're playing next to their names, and you will see the cards vigorously bump, scratch, and grind up against each other. Yeah. and it got nicknamed Card Sex. And they kept telling us, oh yeah, the spectator mode is coming, it's coming. Oh, the spectator mode is coming, it's coming. It never came. Well, the cards came. They came all over the place. But they were plastic, so they had protection. But no one ever actually got to a spectator mode in vanilla Marvel vs. Capcom 3. In fact, spectator mode didn't show up until the fucking remake/remaster. You know how they do that shit nowadays. 6 to 7 months later in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So yeah, you were basically lied to if you believe that spectator mode shit that Capcom was saying.
Real talk, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, like vanilla, was probably one of the most disappointing games like I've ever played. Like probably of all time. Like the actual fighting wasn't bad, but just all the problems you just listed, like I couldn't believe it. Like I felt so. It's pretty much what kept me from buying anything Capcom for like years. I don't think like the only thing I bought after that was I bought Street Fighter 4, but I haven't bought anything since Street Fighter 4. Even new Resident Evil 7, which has gotten good reviews. I got so burned by that game, man. It was terrible.
Yeah, and they're starting to feel the burn, so to speak, because they've noticed just from their own statistical data that if you fuck up the launch or if you fuck up the game's natural play style within the first month, it sets a standard and word of mouth spreads and people aren't going to want to touch your shit. Case in point, Street Fighter versus Tekken. But that aside, go ahead and continue what you were saying, Coleman, or was that pretty much it?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Hope to God netcode doesn't blow it, otherwise looks like a very fun game.
I can tell you for a fact, it actually is. However, and people may hate me for this, not a spoiler, but strategical advantage. You're going to want to play the game like you're boxing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun. It reminds people of Wii boxing. But you shouldn't. If you can get the controller connector piece, or if you can fucking... What was I about to say? Oh, yeah. Or if you can go and get a pro Nintendo Switch controller, you're better off. And here's why. Everybody has a super mode or a super rapid punch thing they can do when their meter gets built up. You hit harder and faster when you're tapping the button versus when you're actually throwing your arms out. No pun intended. Did I mention you can kick in the game? You can kick. So yeah. But you're right. Also, it has a really, really interesting main theme song. It's very not Nintendo. I like it. And for our final skinny horse. All right, Gino. Your turn.
I mean, honestly, I'm looking at like the Wikipedia list of all the different Switch games, and as far as just exclusives that are out now, like not coming, man, there is absolutely nothing other than Breath of the Wild that I would be interested in on the Switch. But as far as upcoming stuff, I would say I was excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That looks awesome. I cannot wait for that. I love the original Xenoblade Chronicles. I didn't have the Wii U version, but I got the original Wii version. And even though it's not as good looking as it's just that game is. Has anybody here played Xenoblade Chronicles X?
Yeah, Romulus is really feeling it.
How is it? I haven't actually played that one.
Okay, with your own character, you can do all the cool shit. And then they have different like Easter eggs as to the original Xenoblade because it takes in like its own unit. Because I want to say her name is Lindley, and like her hairpins are the Monado itself.
Yeah.
Like if you're a diehard fan, that's gonna be the first thing you point out. Like she has the Monado in
RPGs, man.
Okay, well, I didn't finish Xenoblade Chronicles X, but I do plan to. However, I can tell you this. Everything is more interesting than the fucking story. Getting giant robots, exploring the goddamn planet, finding weird and rare shit, doing side quests, unlocking secret characters or characters for your team you didn't know that you could even get. Everything is cooler than the main game. Also, the user interface for when you're in your home base is really dumb and stupid, and it plays a really, really terrible song every time you go to your main base. And I don't mean terrible as in, wow, I think this song is dumb. I mean, you're going to want to turn your volume all the way down before you go in the base.
It's very repetitive, and oh my god,
it doesn't even fit what. Here's the thing though, every other thing in the fucking games, even on the soundtrack, is 10 times better. The person who made that soundtrack did Kingdom Hearts, and she did the original Street Fighter 2 music. They couldn't have gotten a better fucking person in Japan. But when they made that Hub World song, it was like they said, shit, we paid her too much money, but we need a song for this area, even though they didn't really. I got an idea. Somebody go in there and throw up on a keyboard.
That's what they pretty much did.
Man, that's a damn shame about the story though, because I really, really dug the story. And,
listen. It's so fun that you're not gonna feel bad.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Think about Mass Effect Andromeda. Yeah, we back in that ass. I was trying to avoid it, but that ass just called me back. Mass Effect Andromeda's story is so bad that people have been making jokes that the original writing staff of Mass Effect left because they saw this script coming. Now, obviously, we can't prove if that's true, and there are people that left before the third game even came out. But that aside, what have people been praising the most about it? What did EA say that they're going to continue patching and nothing else? The fucking combat / multiplayer. Obviously because they love money, but because it's the best and most shining example of that fucking game. That being said, this isn't an uncommon feature. There have been plenty of games that have come out where feature or ability that no one saw coming gets more attention than they realize. Everybody here has heard of or has been clamoring for Nier Automata. But here's something the entire production staff, minus the composer, said about the original Nier. The soundtrack got more attention than the actual fucking game. And in some places / cases, it was outselling the fucking game itself. Yeah. That's just how it is. You can't predict what your audience will do with what you give them. You can only hope for the best. I don't remember what stand-up person told me this, but when he told me that was some of the best and one of the only times really, or best advice I ever got / ever wanted / needed in stand-up. Because, well, I'm not one of those, I'm going to do what I want to do. Fuck you. If you don't like me, fuck you. Something wrong with you people. And ever since he told me that, I want to say it just basically opened a mental door I didn't even know was locked. You know? So,
man, I've heard, sorry, my bad.
So, what you also have to remember though is that you can actually fucking swim and you're never going to drown. And you can summon your giant robot to mess around with anywhere in the world. You could even mix and match your team to make some people follow you on foot and go into your mech. Oh, and they all transform like some fucking Autobots into vehicles. It's fucking insane. But yeah, if you ever get a Wii U, fucking get that game.
On the Switch though, man, like, I can't believe how well it's supposedly selling with how little content there really is for this thing. Like,
well,
it's even less than
America's
the PS4
broke, bro.
when it launched.
America's broke, bro. So realistically, they don't have to have a lot of shit because not a lot of people would have been around to buy it.
True. But you know, it's weird too with maybe I guess it's just me, but I don't know. Like, you're the only person I know that actually bought a Switch. Like, I don't know too many people that are personally, but I don't know. I guess it's selling like gangbusters. But for me personally, there's got to be more content than what's out there right now. Like I said, even the original PS4 launch, which I thought was weak as fuck. Like there was still more than.
No, actually, there wasn't. They barely had 60 games, but that's another story. All right. Not trying to rush anything, but moving along. Cutoff points. Do you believe there is or can be a set amount of time before a new generation or of systems or a company can create a new generation of systems and cycles? Or do you feel like it can't be plotted out or predicted? Why or why not? And we're going to start with Gino.
Well, if you look at history, usually like between each console generation, it was usually around like 5 to 6 years. It was only actually recently.
It was 4.
It was only actually recently with the last generation where it lasted like a shitload of time because the economy crashed. So usually I think around usually seems like a good time, and usually at that point technology has progressed enough to where like the next generation was a solid step up from next. But we're in an interesting time now as far as generations are concerned, because we're finally reaching a point to where like the next generation isn't like a huge graphical leap like it was with going from like, let's say, Sega Genesis, like 16-bit era, to 32-bit era with the PlayStation and 64. It was just like such a massive leap at the time, going from like 2D to 3D. But if you look at last gen compared to now, there's not as much of a difference. So we're hitting that sort of plateau. So I can't really predict where the industry is going to go at this point, and that's considering generations. That's one thing that we could see completely change from what we do, because we're already seeing, like, we haven't seen mid-generation consoles since like the Genesis era when they did like the 32X and the Sega. It's an interesting time, and there was a time where we could, you know.
So you're saying that you don't think it could have been predicted, or it could have been on a set timeline in the past, but you don't think it can now?
Essentially, yeah. Like we're at a really interesting crossroad, and I'm excited to see where. Sorry for rambling.
No, it's fine. You can ramble until I can figure out what it is you're trying to say, and then I just help you along. But it's not a you thing. I do that for everybody. All right, Pika, what do you think?
Oh, like you said, 4 years. Like the other gentleman just said, the whole middle console thing. The only thing that we've actually seen recently that kinda was like the introduction of the PS4 Pro. There were a few changes to the PS4 as far as hardware is concerned.
Yeah, but that was minor.
It was minor, but still, it's only the most like kind of similar thing to that, but not exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, as of right now, I think there's a bit of a how do I want to call this? It's like a stagnancy, if that's the word. A stagnancy of hardware development for consoles. I think that the amount of power they're going to get out of consoles, I think they're pretty much hitting their peak without some kind of big revelation coming through. So, I think that this current console generation, it's going to go beyond these 4 years. Might stretch 5, 6, 7. But as far as how long you should wait until you release something new, I'd say at least 3. Because some developers wait for a year to see how a console does before they decide they want to make a game for it. And then that development's going to take, a couple of years to make. So depending on how much time they want to put in it, it'll be that whole 3-year cycle before they actually come out with a game if they decide to get behind it. So I'd say at least 3 years, 4 to be comfortable. Because these gaming companies, they do take their time They wait and see if a console is good before they want to make a game. Unless you're EA, then you're a cash wharf man. But that's besides the point.
Insert sports game here.
FIFA. All right, Romulus, go ahead.
How long? Excuse me, I kind of zoned out a bit. Cutoff points. Like, could you explain?
All right, let me give it to you real quick. Because of how much more common place it's become to do modified versions of the original systems when they come out, do you feel like there's a set lifespan now that console makers can go or should use to determine when to make the next iteration? Or do you think the lines have been blurred so much that it's unpredictable? Blurred lines.
Because sometimes, like, with the Wii U, they came out with, like, I'm going to say it was the 32 gigabyte and then, like, the 64 one, where they already came out with their variants on, while with the PS3 that had its different cycles along the lines, and some of it died out. And then the Xbox kind of was like in between, so it's kind of hard to me. It seems like it's hard to say when they're gonna come out, because honestly.
So what you're trying to say is you think that when they should do it is unpredictable.
When they should do is unpredictable, because they never really know how good the first console comes out. Because if it's just like some bug things, like when the Switch came out, I didn't like the fact that I had to keep putting in my credit card information. They put out a patch like within the week, and it's like, yeah, here you go, you save it now. That's easy stuff, but other stuff is like, this console is totally bad because of the hardware in it, and they gotta rebuild another one that's kind of variant on the issues. Like, I don't know why they made the Scorpion or the Pro, but there's clearly some stuff they saw. Like, PS4 is good, but we can make it better by adding this into it.
Okay. Now, okay. So, oh shit. Let me see here. Where was it? Give me a second. Also, he'll check the chat. All right. So for my my 2 cents on the subject, which, as we all know, can go either way, or right down the middle, as people like to tell me, fuck y'all. I feel like it can be figured out and it can be a set timeline. But, and here's the caveat / asterisk, I feel like it can't be the same for all the big three all at once. So I think that Nintendo should have their set release time or release window frame. And I think that it can't overlap, or it's possible for it to overlap with, say, Sony or Microsoft, but it can't be at the exact same time. And the reason I say that isn't just because, well, I watch the industry. Like, literally, I watch and look at analytical data at random and shit for the industry. But I feel like also it can be predicted or plotted out just based on company's internal analytic or statistical data. If I'm Nintendo, no, not Nintendo. If I'm the PlayStation, I just made the PS2. My first year, I've sold more than 5 times the amount of PS2s than I did with my PlayStation 1s. There's just something they like to call projected growth, meaning this is how much I think I'm going to make as a minimum in the next 12 months or in this allotted time span. Now, imagine if the PS2 was selling like hotcakes and it was the most popular shit on their mind that came out ever, but then they released the PS3 in the middle of it and it still costs like $500 and $600. Are you going to pick up that PS3, or are you still going to fucking go get a PS2 or play your PS2? In fact, that is what happened when the PS3 came out. For the whole first year and a half, people still fuck with the PS2. Why? Because there was too much bullshit going on with the PS3, and a lot of games people didn't even want to that they had. People didn't even want to play. Yeah, they look pretty, but they didn't want to play them. And that's really one of the biggest caveats you need when you fucking trying to sell a system. Do people want to play the games that are on it? Now, on the opposite spectrum of that, when you get to Microsoft, I honestly don't know what the fuck they should do. I don't like anytime I've had a Microsoft system outside of a computer. I've regretted it within 4 to 5 months. Yes, legit buyer's remorse. But I can say this. I feel like they should not try to go competitive or toe-to-toe directly with Sony because they don't understand. And if we notice from their release and just looking at their own statistical data, they have this bad habit of assuming that you have to take out Sony. Okay, is that someone disagreeing with me or is that a phone vibrating?
That's a phone loudly vibrating. Hang on.
Okay.
Hate the S8, but love it at the same time. It vibrates too much when I don't check my messages.
Understandable. So the best I can say with them is either come out before or come out way after, as in maybe 7 to 8 months after a Sony console. So that way people can stop this console war mentality bullshit that really doesn't help anybody because they want to use it or try to use it to make the advertising teams to use it to boost the sales of the system. But the thing is that that's not gonna change shit. It's gonna go back to what it's always been. Do you have games people want to play? Console exclusives be damned. There will never be enough of those to please everybody unless you're Nintendo. And even then, they don't even have all their franchises properly respected. Let's be honest. I may be one of the only people who remembers when F-Zero games were new. But F-Zero is not the only franchise they just said fuck it at the height of its popularity. Anyways, I feel like it's possible, bottom line. But I feel like it's possible if everybody releases away from each other. Now, that brings us to the end of our podcast. I'd like to thank our newborn baby Gino for getting deflowered by Pika and taking it like a champ anally. And yeah, I'm just going to say as far as what I've been playing recently, because that's one of the ways we like to close shit out. I got back into Fantasy Star Online too. Well, I never really left it, but I mean, like, it's interesting and I'm meeting enough new people to the point where I am playing it more consistently. Mainly because they, unlike almost every other fucking RPG MMO I've ever seen, they actually have a rare drop sheet that lets you know what you need to potentially get a super rare item. And it's gonna be a guaranteed drop, but it's a guaranteed drop over time and beating up certain enemies. I like that. It's not a part of the story mode. It's not a major quest. And I have the free choice to picking which one of these rare items I want to get. And the cool part is that once I get these rare items, like, there's no waiting for it to drop. I go to a counter and I get it. And one of the things I like is there's always a skill tree associated with your class. So just because I'm a hunter doesn't mean your hunter is going to play or have the exact same abilities as my other hunter. And they introduced about 15 more customizable special attacks. So instead of making new ones, they made the old ones modifiable, which is, it breathes life into the combat fairly quickly. So that's what I'm playing right now. That, and I finally got the Final Blaze Blues game, Central Fiction. Let me tell you, there's some fun to be had. All right. Rami, what you been playing besides League of Legends, as if I didn't already know?
Mario Kart 8.
Oh, you fucking old school fanboy.
You should have known the addiction from when we was in AIT and fucking Timmy, dude.
Yep.
We fucking ham on that shit.
Your ass was a preordained Splatoon fan. You would not shut up about the shit and it wasn't even out.
Game's awesome.
All right, what about you, Pika?
Me, it's kind of like a once a week thing right now, just for a quest that's going on. But I picked up Heroes of the Storm. It's a MOBA. It's nice. I never really played any of those styles of games before, so it's interesting. Very, very thought-inducing game. You really have to plan and hope that your teammates are not a bunch of fucking idiots.
They're only playing for Divaskin.
Oh, there are groups that do that, and I like it when I actually get, people of a higher level, so I can actually feel like, I'm going to win, so I can actually enjoy my bit of time that I'm playing. And who knows, after this next week, Last Quest comes out, I might not touch it again, but at least I'll say I had a fun time when I was playing it.
Okay, Bill Cosby. All right, what about you, Gino? What you been playing?
I think you know what's coming is I've been playing Bloodborne, and I've been trying to get the Platinum Trophy on it. This would be my technically third time playing through the game, and I gotta say, Bloodborne really gets better after your second time when you actually know, like your blind playthrough is super fun, but the second time
it's always fun when you know what you're doing.
The second time going through, Bloodborne is amazing. Like, I think it's actually become like one of my favorite games of all time. I love the art style, I love the music, I love the lore, I love the weapons. Honestly, to me, Bloodborne is like a perfect game. Like, it's super fair, even to people who like have never played a Souls game. And I can attest to that myself. It was like my first one. I think if I had to pick out my favorite 5 games now, it would probably be Final Fantasy VII, would be the Resident Evil remake, number 3 would be Bloodborne, 4 would be Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and then 5 would be LA Noire. But like, I believe I had Castlevania Rondo of Blood as my number 3 for a long time. Like, I'm a huge Castlevania fan, but Bloodborne is just, it's so good. If you haven't played Bloodborne, you owe it to yourself to try it, man, because it is an experience. Oh.
Yeah. Still listening.
I'm done, though. That's pretty much it. I mean, I could go on for days about it.
Well, I'm just going to say flat out, no the fuck, I don't owe it to my goddamn self. And I'm going to tell you why. Because once you beat one Bloodborne, you already know what's going to happen. Bloodborne is a game where masochists and nihilists like to get their rocks off. And I'm not insulting the fan base. I'm no better because I know every time I go into a Ninja Gaiden game, I am not going to be rewarded for the hardship I'm about to endure. And if I am, it's going to be a bullshit costume and not something important or cool or some weapon that'll make the game easier to fucking play. I'm literally torturing myself. And every single fucking time I beat a Ninja Gaiden game, no matter what difficulty, I feel joy for maybe a hot 4 hours and then I think, why the fuck did I do that to myself? Hey, Hill.
What's up?
I dare you to go buy Ninja Gaiden 3 on the Wii U.
Nah, that's already cancer enough. You said Ninja Gaiden. I've already played. I don't know which one I have for my PS3. Beats my ass every time. Now you want me to play on the Wii U? That's just like, just you want me to die.
Real talk. And I'm saying this as somebody who, when I played through Bloodborne my first time, was saying that it was like super cheap and shit not for a lot, but for like one particular boss. For the most part, I still think that boss is fairly cheap, but for the most part, in Bloodborne specifically, not Dark Souls, just Bloodborne, if you fuck up in Bloodborne, it actually is your fault. I'm not a Dark Souls fanboy by any stretch of the imagination, but
Sure.
Bloodborne can be a super easy time, or, well, not super easy, like it's still a challenge, but it can be a relatively painless time or an incredibly hard one, depending on you. It's all on whether you're willing to sit down and really, like, be patient and memorize what's happening in front of you. Because, like, for example, I was playing this boss the other day, right, and they have your health in the dungeon, so you can get killed in one shot. But if you notice with the boss, his patterns are like really. Just, you pay attention, you focus, you can kill him without almost ever getting hit. And it's stuff like that that really just makes this game like super satisfying. And like once you actually do get good at it, which doesn't take that long, like you'd be surprised how well the game trains you to adapt to different scenarios. But once you do, man, it is the most satisfying thing ever. I promise you.
You know, somebody beat the game from start to finish in like 3.5 hours, right?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's like I said, once you learn what you're doing, it's really not as hard as it seems from your first playthrough. Though Dark Souls 1 is pretty fucking cheap. I said that shit. Like, yeah, I didn't have nearly as much fun with Dark Souls 1 as I did with Bloodborne.
Okay. Well, that ends our current episode of Token Games Podcast, unless all of you have finally seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Nope.
Working on
Not
it.
yet.
You
Probably gonna end up seeing it tomorrow.
terrible human beings. Anyways, all right, I will catch you guys most likely if you are going to see it tomorrow, and we can do a little mini review / talk about it. And, hey, Gino, go see the shit. You ain't got nothing to do tonight.
I will.
And if you did, I'd just tell you to use a condom and, you know what, bring her to the fucking shit too. But yeah, go see it tonight. You got plenty of places you can go.
Gotcha.
All right, this is Token Games Podcast, and I'll catch you guys when I catch you motherfuckers.